Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a very terrifying, interesting, yet educational upload to share with you. Before we get into this, though, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch store to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook version. They were written by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. They're available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. The links to those books are in the description as well. Now, everyone, I have taken enough of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? Today we are going to take a look at a possible government and media cover-up in the great state of Montana. Historically, Montana has had its fair share of canine cryptid sightings. And there was an attack a little less than a month ago that left a man severely injured, and then he died. For some reason, I'm thinking it's a cover-up. I will share with you why and a little bit of history of that area as well. So, first we'll check out some of the canine cryptid sightings of the great state of Montana. The Shankar Warkin is an unknown, presumably canine-like creature reported throughout the northern United States, including Montana, Illinois, Nebraska, and Iowa. Often described by eyewitnesses as being a primitive wolf or hyena-like creature. The Lauwe and several other Native American Indian tribes in the region called the creature Shankar Warkin, which translates into carrying off dogs, because it would sneak into native camps at night and steal their dogs. The first documented sighting of the Shankar Warkin by white settlers began in the 1880s when members of the Hutchins family settled down in the Madison River Valley in the lower part of Montana. Not long after the Hutchins settled into the area, they, along with several other locals, began to encounter a strange wolf-like animal. In his book, Trails to Nature's Mystery, The Life of a Working Naturalist, published in 1997, Ross Hutchins wrote the following description of some encounters that his grandfather had with the Shankar Warkin. One winter morning, my grandfather was aroused by the barking of dogs. He discovered that a wolf-like beast, dark-colored, was chasing my grandmother's geese. He fired a shot at this animal and missed. It ran off down by the river, but several mornings later it was seen again at about dawn. It was seen several more times at the home ranch, as well as other ranches 10 or 15 miles down the valley. Whatever it was a great traveler. Those who got a good look at the beast described it as being nearly black and having high shoulders and a back that sloped downward like a hyena. Then one morning in late January, my grandfather was alerted by dogs, and this time was able to kill it. Just what the animal was an open question. After being killed, it was donated to a man named Sherwood, who had a combination grocery store museum in Henry Lake in Idaho. It was mounted and displayed there for many years. He called it the Ringdachus. The youngest Hutchins, who was a PhD in zoology, examined the beast and had no idea what this was. He speculated that it may have been a hyena that escaped from the circus. However, he noted that the nearest circus was hundreds of miles away. Over many years, the Hutchins story had all been forgotten. That is, until cryptozoologist Mark A. Hall uncovered the story after a creature or a group of creatures resembling the Shankar Warkin was sighted in Nebraska, Iowa, Alberta, and Illinois. Mr. Hall also uncovered the photograph of the mounted hyena-like animal, the so-called Ringdachus, originally shot by Ross Hutchins' grandfather. Existed, however, its whereabouts remain unknown. Then in 1995, following a discovery by Mark A. Hall, Lance Foster, a Lawe Indian, told renowned cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman of a creature he and his tribe called the Shankar Warkin that looked something like a hyena and cried like a person when it was killed. Foster, who had heard of the mountain ringdachus carcass, speculated that it may be an example of a Shankar Warkin, which he knew from his own experiences and those of relatives in the Montana and Idaho. In December of 2005, a strange wolf-like animal began killing livestock in Macomb, Garfield, and Dawson County in Montana. By October of 2006, the animal, now known as the creature of Macomb County, had killed more than 120 various forms of livestock and appeared in several news articles, including one in May of 2006 issue of USA Today. On November 2nd, 2006, the Montana Wildlife Service shot and killed a creature that may have been responsible for these killings. Originally thought to be a wolf, the animal that was shot showed characteristics not common with any wolf species known. The animal that was killed appeared to have orange, red, and yellow fur, whereas wolves that live in this area are known to be gray and black and brown. Muscle tissue was sent to the University of California in LA, where DNA samples were taken in an attempt to compare with the northern Rocky wolf. The carcass was sent to the National Fish and Wildlife Forensic Lab in Ashland, Oregon, for genetic testing. However, no record of results of these studies can be found. One theory suggests the Shankar Warkin may be a form of prehistoric mammal called the Borophagus, an ancient hyena-like canine known to inhabit North America more than 13,000 years ago during the Pleistocene era. A later theory, which could only explain the 2005-2006 encounters, is that the creature shot in Montana was genetically altered and raised in captivity only to later escape. The truth is, we may never know what the Shankar Warkin is or was. All we can do is wait for test results of this creature shot in Montana. And if those results show it to be scientifically accepted animal, we are left to speculate if every sighting of the Shankar Warkin is just a misidentification of an established animal. Just a little something, those lab results from Macomb County were never released to the public. Then there was this interesting little ditty. 2018, wolf-like creature shot near Montana ranch, puzzles experts. U.S. wildlife experts are baffled by wolf-like animal that was killed by a Montana farmer. The rancher near the town of Denton shot the creature last week when it came within several hundred meters of his livestock. State wildlife experts say they were unable to pinpoint its species. After inspecting the creature, they said they doubt it's a wolf, as its teeth were too short, front paws abnormally small, and claws too large. Bizarre theories have circulated online that it could be a Dogman, young grizzly bear, or relative of Bigfoot. In a news release, Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks said it was a young, non-lactating female and canid, a member of the dog family that includes dogs and fox, coyote, and wolves. We have no idea what it is until a DNA report is back, the spokesman for the agency, Bruce Uckley, told Great Falls Tribune. He added that it may be up to a week before the results are in, which should help identify the cryptid. Several things grabbed my attention when I saw those pictures, Ty Smucker, wolf management specialist in Montana, told the paper. The ears are far too big. The legs are a little short. The feet look a little small. The coat looks weird. There's just something off about it. The agency then notes the mythical theories swirling online include it to be a dire wolf. First off, dire wolf is a song by the Grateful Dead from '71, Mr. Uckley states. I know I've listened to it many times. Number two, it's a prehistoric animal like mastodon, saber-toothed tigers, so it doesn't exist. It's far too north to be the legendary chupacabra, some say, with others wondering if it may be a dogman. But others think it's a coy wolf, a coyote-wolf hybrid, or perhaps a wolf dog bred in captivity and later released into the wild. Wolf hunting is permitted in the state, and residents are allowed to kill wolves that threaten their property, the Wildlife Agency noted in their news release. Last week, Montana state wolf researchers estimated there to be 900 wolves across the state. Couple interesting things with those two little articles are 3 publicly discussed canine cryptids, then the results for the Macone and the just Montana dire wolf / dogman. The results to those DNA testings were never released, and then the speculation of the one in 2006 in Macone and the newest 2018 that they are some sort of hybridized pet kept in captivity and just escaped. That makes absolutely no sense to me. But then that brings us to the interesting yet very sad media possible government cover-up. Now, with all of that, brings us into the possible media government cover-up. Montana man is violently attacked by a bear near Yellowstone National Park, leaving him significant scalp and facial wounds. The violent encounter happened Thursday afternoon in an area of timber near Baker Hole Campground in Custer-Gallatin National Forest. The victim, a West Yellowstone resident, was able to call 911 following the mauling at about 3:45. He was located after an off-trail search of about 50 minutes and taken by toboggan and snowmobile to an ambulance. The victim was transported by Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center in Idaho Falls. Investigators have been unable to interview the victim because the injuries that include significant scalp and facial wounds. First responders saw a bear and described it as a grizzly, but that has not been confirmed. Investigators have been unable to interview the victim because of the injuries, according to Morgan Jacobson of Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks of the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office. First responders saw a bear and described it as a grizzly, but that has not been confirmed, Jacobson states. Black bears also inhabit Yellowstone, but generally are not considered aggressive. An emergency closure was imposed on the areas of the National Forest around the site of the mauling until investigators decide the area is safe to reopen. Grizzly bears have been slowly expanding their turf, where they roam in parts of northern the Rockies, but need continued protections, according to the government scientist who concluded that no other area in the country would be suitable for reintroducing the fearsome predator. Fish and Wildlife Services in March released its first assessment in almost a decade after the status of grizzly bears in the United States. The Bruins are shielded and hunting as a threatened species except in Alaska. Grizzly populations have grown over the past 10 years in Yellowstone region of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, with more than 700 bears, and in around Glacier National Park in Montana, which is home to 1,000 of these animals. Grizzlies' numbers remain low in other parts of the northern Rockies, and scientists said their focus is on bolstering those populations rather than reintroducing them anywhere in the United States. The bears now occupy about 6% of their historical range on the continental United States, up to 2% in 1975. Conservationists and some university scientists have pushed to return bears to the areas including Colorado's San Juan Mountains and California's Sierra Nevadas. An estimated 50,000 grizzlies once inhabited western North America, from the Pacific Ocean to the Great Plains. Hunting, commercial trapping, and habitat loss has wiped out most of the early 1900s. The bears were last seen in California in the 1920s, and the last known grizzly in Colorado was killed by an elk hunter in '79. Grizzly bears have been protected as a threatened species in the United States since '75, allowing a slow recovery in a handful of areas. An estimated of 1,900 live in the northern Rockies of Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Washington. This attack happened on April 15th, then tragically on April 17th. Update. We would like to let you know that early this morning Carl suffered a massive stroke and sadly did not make it, though. It comes to terrible shock and is heartbreaking since both surgeries went so well. We will keep everyone updated with service information. Moving on to the next part of the attack. A hiker is being treated in eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center after an encounter with a grizzly bear near West Yellowstone. He is currently in surgery. They are fixing his orbit of his eye and fixing a maimed hand. Mock will need to undergo numerous surgeries over the next week with very long recovery ahead. Gallatin County Sheriff's Office was called to Baker's Hole around 3:42 Thursday on a report of a grizzly bear attack. The Forest Service, West Yellowstone Police, and Hebgen Basin Fire and EMS all responded. Rescue teams were able to locate the injured person some 50 minutes on an off-road or off-trail search. Authorities state the bear attack left him with severe injuries to the left side of his face, head, and neck. Judging from his injuries, they said Mock seems to have used the proper fetal position to keep bears from killing him, but the bear still managed to bite a huge chunk out of his skull. I want people to know that Carl wasn't out there making stupid choices. He was very aware of the rules and regulations. He's very respectful of wildlife and someone that recreates very professionally. Mock's sisters state that he had a passion for hiking, fishing, photography, and is a beloved guide to countless visitors in Yellowstone. He's a big believer of catch and release, and he wanted to pursue a career as a park ranger. They believe that his experience in the wilderness saved his life. For this to happen to someone who is so well versed in these types of activities is scary and baffling. It truly makes you aware that this could happen to anyone at any time, because he knows more than most. So on to why I think this is a Dogman attack. First and foremost, Montana is notorious for canine cryptids. 3 very public accounts. This guy was a nature lover, very passionate about nature, knew what he was doing. He was a guide, not someone who is not familiar with the area, but someone who is very familiar with the area and how to stay alive in the wilderness. So I don't see a grizzly bear, coming up on this guy without him reacting. Also, I know grizzly bears are huge, but I don't feel like that bite. I know their bite power is powerful as well, but I don't feel the bite or maw of a grizzly bear would be not able, but big enough to just rip a chunk out of someone's skull. for me, I mean, yeah, I know that they're huge, but there's just something that feels wrong about it. Also, there's this. The weekend of the 16th to the 18th, there is a unreported event that happened in Montana. Give me 1 second. In the North Yellowstone Trail. Apparently a very well-versed person in wildlife and hunting was out with his family on a school bus converted into a camper. And at night, something ripped kind of the back portion of that school bus off and was trying to get into the camper. The gentleman then shot at whatever it was, and it took off running into the woods. So after this guy shot at this creature, police department, Gallatin, sheriff, whatever, came out and said, bear. Don't think a bear is able to rip the back half of a camper or school bus off. That's very, very powerful animal. Yeah, grizzlies are powerful, but I don't think so on that one. Also, the guy is versed in this. They kind of saw it. They knew what they saw. And they saw a Dogman. And this was about 50 to 60, possibly, the furthest 100 miles away from where this gentleman was attacked. More about 50. So in the same weekend. Pretty crazy, right? I don't know. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to, it's not etched in stone. I'm not saying that this was a Dogman attack 100%. Do I feel like it is? Yeah, I really do. Just a lot of it doesn't make sense. I mean, you've got the many, 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 many canine cryptid encounters and sightings. Then you've got a crazy, screwed up bear attack. The one thing that gets me, and where I think it is a government cover-up, is this poor guy survived the attack, and then he was in the hospital after many surgeries, doing well, and then had a stroke. Did the government come in to keep him quiet and introduce something into his IV? Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Could that be possible? Yeah, it could be. It very well could be. Because I think a lot of these attacks that people survive on, I think the government just comes up and says, here's some money, shut up, or we'll just make your life a hell if you talk about this. So, I don't know. It's about 95 degrees in my goddarn studio today. I've got sweat pouring off of me, and I am exhausted. I really think that something's going on, though. I think that this is just too fishy for me. But anyway, that's it for my theories on this. Sorry, I'm super exhausted, and it's about 95 in my studio. I'm super busy with my daughter and her homeschooling. Really busy taking care of my dad and my mom, just making sure that they're okay. I don't know. And I have not been sleeping very well lately at night, because my brain, I lay in bed and I start thinking about these things. And then today it's 95 in my studio, and I'm recording, and I'm literally like power switch off, and then I'll perk back up. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so I'm leaving the theories up to you guys. You guys can check out what I stated in this upload and kind of weigh them against what you guys think. But who knows? I don't know. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.